This is the Impulsive Thinker Podcast, a show for high-achieving ADHD entrepreneurs. Together, we will inform and educate you about how to improve your self-awareness while developing systems, routines, and habits for conquering the entrepreneurial world. Here is your host, André Brisson.
Hey there, it's André, the Impulsive Thinker. This week I was talking to my oldest daughter who just finished grade 10, Zydia, and this was a topic she brought up by herself. She actually asked me if we can talk about this on the podcast, and it was about the pre- and post-diagnosis parenting and how I saw it. And I never even thought of this concept or whatnot, but she came up with it and she wanted to know more. And I really was impressed because during the conversation, I made an assumption that she was going to attack me and all that based on that topic. That's just where my head went, because I think it's an old protective mechanism where I always do things wrong, so I must be doing something wrong. But what I really got out of it, she was curious. She was very curious. And I allowed her to ask these questions without consequences. I don't know if you remember, she was on a while back or in season 1 where we just talked about, family life as an undiagnosed person during that My Life Tempest. And I created a safe space with no consequence to ask tough questions. And I learned a lot from her perspective, and she learned a lot from my perspective too. And that's what a safe space without consequences have about conversations. So I'm really proud and happy with myself that she felt comfortable and safe to talk about this and to bring things up. She came prepared. She had a list of questions and that. I'm really proud of her. And the one thing I wanted to discuss is parents, we can't get it right. We can't get it right all the time. We can't get it right tomorrow 100% of the time. But as long as we get most of it right, we're going to mess up and screw up, and we got to give ourselves a break, okay? So what we did is we discussed how I tried to protect her from my past, okay? And what I meant by that was because of my past, my impulsivity, I got in so much trouble, I was doing a lot of social no-nos, and I didn't realize, I just thought I was a bad person. I couldn't figure shit out. And I saw a lot of that in Zydia, and I mean when she was 3 years old running around. And what I was doing is this is at the time I was undiagnosed, okay? I was trying to protect her from my upbringing and my past experiences by anticipating what we know now is her impulsive ADHD ways of doing things, all in hopes I can change her behavior so she wouldn't have to go through the shit that I went through as a kid with my family, general public, my friends, my non-friends, my teachers, my co-workers, and even my supervisors, okay? I was there to try and protect her so she wouldn't suffer the shit that I went through, okay? So she can learn early to not go through the same stuff that I did, okay? Now, I know everyone who's listening who are parents know kind of what I'm talking about, that we're trying to protect them. We're trying to do things. Our heart's in the right place, okay? Now, I want to reiterate, I did this while I was undiagnosed, ADHD, before I realized there's nothing wrong with me. It was everyone's perception of what I was doing is not acceptable, okay? I had good intentions. I had good intentions to protect her. See, I wasn't diagnosed. And at the time, she wasn't either. I had good intentions to protect her. But what I was doing in reality was I was doing the same thing my parents were doing, my friends, my family, society was judging me for my ADHD brain. And those were determined to be socially acceptable, which is bullshit. Okay? But I didn't realize I was doing that. So my intentions was not to me because you're embarrassing me. I was doing it so I could protect you so you don't go through that crap that I went through. Okay? But once I got diagnosed, and we talked about this with Zydia, is once I got diagnosed, it got clarity for me. Okay? I saw her at that age because I was paying attention. I always pay attention to people's uniqueness. I saw her ADHD symptoms and her mannerisms, and it's beautiful. It's really cool to see your own kid in their prime, not in their prime, but in their pure self. And I shit on that. In a way, I kind of took away her happy kidness because I kept pouncing on her in the hopes I could protect her so she can learn the proper social mannerisms that were generally accepted. Okay? And to this day, I still feel bad, but I've forgiven myself on that because you know what? I had the right intentions. As a father, I want to protect my kid from bullshit. But it was an innate little André trying to come out and protect me, but at the same time protect her from my past experiences. But since the ADHD diagnosis, and I also noticed that with my youngest, Sophie. But anyways, I had to forgive myself and to move forward. And the conversation with Zelia was a lot about that, where I was able to openly talk about, say, hey, you know what? I was a hard ass on you when you were a kid. But now I know why I was a hard ass. I'm not justifying it, but I can explain to you why. And I'm not doing that anymore because I understand ADHD is just a different way. If you're doing things, yes, there's some social ineptitude that we get into trouble with, but you know what? Anyone does that too. Everyone, doesn't matter what type of brain. So I guess the one thing I'm trying to get here is, my ADHD still gets in the way of me parenting. I'm not perfect and my kids know it. But I try every day to be better and I try to grow with them. And what I got from this conversation is my kids see that. They don't necessarily say it, but I never realized how that conversation with them, that my kids see that I try and I try to improve every day. And at the same time, what I'm seeing is my kids are trying to do that themselves. So as a parent, we can't get it right. Fuck the books. Read in what makes sense. But there's no perfect way of parenting. There's no perfect kid. Every kid's different. Every kid's got to be parented different. You've got your own values and your own beliefs of how parenting should be done. Trust yourself. And in the end, you're going to screw up. You're going to try to protect them a certain way. That might have the reverse effect like I was doing with my kids, trying to protect them from the shit that I grew up with. Look at your kids. See what's their uniqueness. See what makes them different. And if they do it in a natural, unique way and it's not impeding anyone, embrace it. Support it. Let them be themselves, just like I want everyone to be themselves. You're different. You're completely different. I love that. Keep it up. As long as you're not squashing on other people's toes or shitting on other people's parades, why do you have to stop being you? Be you. Let your kids be you. Let your spouse be them. Let the kids be themselves. Let your spouse be themselves. And let's just embrace everyone's uniqueness. But in the end, you, the listener, thanks for listening. You're not a perfect parent. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to try to overprotect your kids. You're going to have the right intentions. Will have the negative or opposite effect. That's okay. That's fine. Take ownership. Learn from it. Why it didn't work. And tomorrow's a different day. What I've noticed with my kids is if we try something different the next day, it's not the same as the past. Actually, I don't know how to end this. If you can send me an email at andre@tacticalbts.com. I'd like to hear your thoughts about this, your stories. And again, you're not perfect. You will make mistakes, and that's okay. It's what you do the next day is important. Take care. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Impulsive Thinker podcast. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, rate, and review the show. It helps us get discovered by listeners like you. If you can share it with at least 2 people, that'll start the process. Please follow us on social media. Just search for Tactical BTS. We regularly share interesting conversations and breakthroughs about entrepreneurship and ADHD. That's Tactical BTS. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Impulsive Thinker podcast. If you have a question, comment, or suggestion for the show, please visit theimpulsivethinker.com. The Impulsive Thinker podcast is produced by Tactical Breakthroughs and hosted by André. Remember, ADHD is only a part of you, not all of you.